So I've owned my 21 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack for a little over a month now. And in that time period, I have learned a lot about this car. And if you've ever considered picking one of these up as a daily driver, then you're going to want to stick around as I'm going to go over the pros, the cons, and probably some things that you've never even thought about when it comes to owning one of these. So like I said at the beginning, I am now over a month owning this car. Matter of fact, I'm closer to 2 months owning this car. It has been an absolute pleasure to drive. There are some gives and takes, and you learn a lot about a car when you drive it every day. When I say I drive it every day, I mean I literally drive this car every day. This is the only car that I personally own that's dedicated to me. Now, as I stated at the beginning, there are some pros. There's quite a bit of pros. There are some cons to owning a Dodge Challenger and having it as an everyday driver. So let's take a look at the pros. So first of all, this car is surprisingly comfortable. It is really comfortable. The seats are very well made. They hold you very nicely, and they're also really good on longer trips. There's also plenty of room in this car for not only me, but for my entire family to sit in here comfortably for, I would say a couple of hours or on a decent road trip. One of the other things I can appreciate about the Challenger in general is for being a coupe, there is tons of visibility in this car. There are almost zero blind spots when navigating traffic day over day. And I've driven Mustangs and I've driven Camaros. The Camaro, you can't see anything out of those cars. Just my personal opinion. I do not like how narrow the windows are. The Mustangs are definitely a step above that, but out of the three, the Challenger absolutely has the best visibility out of all of them. So now let's talk about drivability. So like I said, I drive this car every single day, back and forth to work, to run errands, to pick up groceries, whatever I need to do, I'm in this car. One of the things I really appreciate is its highway manageability. So my commute mainly consists of a lot of highway driving for the most part. Now, I've driven other cars that may be smaller and more nimble and easier to move in and out of traffic. That's all well and good, but this car seems to have a really good blend of being able to manage and be nimble through traffic, but let's say when I need that extra little bit of power to get around someone who, let's say, may be doing 20 miles under the speed limit on the interstate, it's there. Now, another couple of pros that are more specific to me and my taste. First of all, this car is not lacking in the looks department whatsoever. If you've ever heard that adage of if you park your car and you don't look at it at least once or twice when you walk away, you bought the wrong car. I find myself turning around just to check this car out sitting in a parking lot every time that I get out of it. Now, another thing that I just can't get enough of on this car is that exhaust note. I mean, it is such a great setup, and I've talked about this setup in a previous video, which I'll throw a link up here for you to be able to go click on that and watch that video. But even after 2 months, I love that sound. It is just an amazing note. The 392 Hemi already sounds fantastic, but the way this exhaust setup is, it just amplifies it even more. Now, like I said, I also like to use this car as kind of my weekend fun car as well. And there, it also shines. It has great power delivery, especially in sport mode. The manual shifting paddles on a lot of cars, they can be clunky and hesitant. And there is a little bit of that with this particular car and the Dodge 8-speed transmission that comes in it. But I think for the most part, it is pretty responsive. One of the things I really appreciate is if you long press the downshift paddle, it will actually lower itself to the lowest gear that is safe and available at that time. So it is no mystery that the Challenger itself is a fairly chunky car when you compare it to the likes of the Camaro or Mustang. And that's fine. Even as a weekend car, when I'm out corner carving, once you get used to the body roll and how it's going to react and you learn how to set up the car, it actually does remarkably well. I will say one of the things I appreciate is in full track mode on the steering, this car is very responsive to steering input. It actually takes some getting used to if you end up changing the steering modes quite often. So I've actually ended up leaving it in track mode all the time, so I'm always aware of exactly how the steering is going to feel. And that's another thing that I can appreciate about this car is that a lot of times you buy cars because you want a almost track performance car. You want something that is going to be really good at cornering, but then you sacrifice daily drivability. Now, I'm not in a position in my life where I can own multiple cars, where I have a daily driver and a weekend fun car. So I need to have a car that can do both. And I will say the Challenger does both of those surprisingly well. Now, I have kind of gone on about all of the things that I appreciate about this car, but it does have its cons and its flaws as well. So one thing, and probably the elephant in the room, is the gas mileage. This 392 Hemi is not known for its gas-saving features. So with that being said, on average, I get about 16 to 18 miles to the gallon driving this car every day back and forth to work. Now on the highway and long road trips, I have seen on an average of 27 miles to the gallon. Now, when you compare that to other cars in its class, that is a little bit on the lower spectrum as far as gas mileage goes. Now, the way that I look at things, I live in Texas. If I didn't have this car, I would most likely own a pickup truck. The average miles per gallon for a half-ton pickup is around 18 miles to the gallon. Matter of fact, I have a friend with a Toyota Tacoma who gets roughly 18 miles to the gallon. So, in my point of view, that's not too bad. Now, a couple of things on the interior that I find that, frankly, are a little hit or miss. Now, the Uconnect stereo itself, it is nice that it has Apple CarPlay, and that's primarily where it sits for me all day long. However, when using some of the other controls, like the different Uconnect apps, but also initiating different drive modes, that can get a little clunky and a little laggy depending on what you're doing with the car at the time. Now, another thing that I've noticed, and this may be more to my car in particular, but the AC is a tad temperamental. And what I mean by that is that some days on auto, the temperature setting will work spot on, it's perfect, and it's great. Other days, I feel like I'm constantly having to adjust it to get the right temperature in the car. Again, that may not be a Dodge Challenger thing, that may be in particular to this car. So something else to address here. The Dodge Challenger is a big car, it's chunky. She got big hips, let's just call a spade a spade. So if you are not used to driving a bigger, I would say mid-size and up vehicle, this is probably not the vehicle for you, especially if you are not comfortable with those size of vehicles. Definitely look at something smaller. I would say maybe even a nice Mustang is probably around your happy place. For me, I can appreciate the size of this car and the blend that it has with performance. Now, there is a couple of things that when it comes to the size of these cars, you need to keep in mind, and this is something that I didn't think about until after I drove it for a few weeks. Now, something else to consider is when you're out and you're looking for a parking space, maybe heading out to the grocery store, you're gonna wanna park in the back because not only does this car take up the entire width of one parking spot, but these doors are huge. So they are going to easily extend over the parking area. And if you're sitting right next to another vehicle, you're gonna find that really difficult to try to get in and out of this thing. And whatever you do, don't be this person. That's just rude. So what about the family aspects of this car? Well, from a dad's perspective, it is really fun to have a car that is a good blend of family vehicle, but also fast muscle car that sounds amazing. My daughter appreciates the power of this car. She's constantly asking me for daddy to do a wee, or basically what she means is stomp on the gas, get the car loose, and let's go have fun. My son greatly appreciates this car in the mornings during school drop-off, especially when all of the kids are checking him out as he gets out. Now, from a dad's perspective, I've already said this car is really comfortable for me, and it's really comfortable for my family. We all fit in here very nicely. Now, we only have 2 kids, so it's just the 4 of us. If you have more than 2 kids, this is not going to be the car for you. Also, when you have kids in the back seat, the back seat of this car is actually fairly big, but your kids will have to either learn to sit Indian style or to make sure that their feet are all the way tucked behind the seat in front of them, because it is really easy, especially for my daughter who just turned 4, to plant her feet on the back of my seat and leave shoe marks all over the place. So I guess the big question is after 2 months, if I had to do it all over again, would I buy this car again? The answer is most definitely yes. So in my opinion, the Challenger is a great blend of fast, fun to drive, and an overall great car for a family guy. Fact! So at the end of the day, I can definitely say with 100% confidence that I absolutely love my Dodge Challenger Scat Pack. Is it perfect? No. Does it have its flaws? Absolutely. Every car does. But I still appreciate how much of a perfect blend this car is and how well it fits into my life and fits into my family's needs. So as always, just want to say thank you for taking the time to come watch this video. If you are so inclined, give it a like, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the channel, and also share this video with your friends. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next time.